Hey everybody, welcome back to another class of Sensei Steve Says, hosted by Shiage Do Martial Arts. Today we're going to be talking about Shiage. Shiage is a Japanese word and it means to finish a fine plane, as in like planing, like it's super smooth, finish on wood. It's basically the final steps in creating your kata. Today's video is going to be a little bit more for the advanced student. But we're going to start off with a kata that, I teach first. So it's going to be kind of like an introduction into Shiage and what that actually means in a kata. So when you're first learning a kata, there are some basic techniques that you learn to get you through it, okay? So it's your, locking in your chambers, doing a side block, your punches, they all come back, then we look, then the chamber, and it's all very static, okay? Now the problem is, in a fight, which a kata is supposed to emulate, nothing is static. Everything's very dynamic. It's all moving around. The transitions and everything like that are all dynamic, and the purpose of a kata is to evolve with your karate, basically. So when I teach you, or when I teach, or when somebody teaches like a beginning kata to a white belt or somebody who's never done kata before, they're going to be very choppy, very basics. Here's the side block, here's the punch. It's going to be very, digestible, bite-sized little pieces. When you start getting a little more skill, a little more rank, a little more practice, and things start coming a little bit more naturally to you because you've already started to, absorb that muscle memory and the changes that brings, then you start doing your things a little bit different, right? So now instead of just a side block coming from a chamber, now I'm going to get my side block coming from a guard, so that when I turn, I can explode with that side block, right? So I'm not necessarily just using my arm strength to do the block, but my entire body to bring that all the way over. And that kind of thing is pretty much redefines the entirety of the kata. That's why if you watch if you go to like a tournament and you watch a blue belt do a kata, it'll be probably very similar to that stock, thing that they get taught right when they're beginner. Whereas if you watch like a Nidan or Sandan, a second degree or third degree black belt, where they've started to grasp how to make these changes, it's going to look like a very different kata. So today what we're going to work on is going through Shiage points of Seisan Kata. The first kata you learn, I'm going to kind of highlight a couple of them. We're going to go slow to start, and where I'm going to kind of point out just how you want your body mechanics to work to get some of this stuff to work a little better. And then we'll do it a little bit faster and for speed so that you can see kind of what it looks like as compared to what it used to look like when you learned it with the static and the choppy bits. So, kata starts the same way. Yasmin, Kyotsuke, Rei, Seisan, Hajime. So right from here, as I look, the first thing I want to do is cover when I do this side block. So when I do my circle step to come forward, I'm going to bring my arm down, kind of covering with the back of my tricep here, because I can take punches in the tricep, and I've got my other hand up in a guard. Now, when I step forward, I get my hip rotation, and I get this push-pull motion from my arms to help get my chest engaged, help get my arm, my legs, and my hips engaged all in this one block instead of just my arm strength, okay? If you get it on a cable machine and you try to do just side blocks, you might get to like 45 pounds if you're strong. Some of you might only get to 20 pounds, right? But if you can use your whole body to do that, you can get up to 100 pounds easy. You probably just won't be able to hold it there, okay? But your peak is going to be much higher if you get all this rotation working for you. So, cover, side block, and then I'm going to load my hip, punch, so that I get that nice hip rotation in there. So now when I step forward, my hips are loaded up, punch, hips are loaded up, punch. Now when I go to do my head blocks, what I want to do is I want to load my hips and my knees, right? Because this block comes up, so I need to get this, it's going to start a little lower and pop with my legs, okay? So it starts here, here. So it's, as I shuffle forward, I get low so I can pop just a little bit, Okay, it's not going to be a lot of difference in my knees. It's probably only a couple degrees, but that couple degrees is going to give me just a little bit of forward pop, right? So instead of being a set and push, it's more of a strike and snap motion, right? So double headlock. When I turn and do my shudos, right, I'm going to turn around so you guys can see what's going on. So I do my double shudos. What I'm going to be doing is just like at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a cover. So I step forward, I'm going to roll that shoulder over as I bring my knees together. I'm covering my groin, I'm covering my rib cage, I'm covering my chin. But I can still see over the top. This is important, right? I don't want it up here because that's how you get punched in the face. So we come in, and then I'm going to get that push-pull, right, from both my arms, along with the hip rotation to do my roots walk, grab, and I'm going to get my hips into it when I get this pull. Now, when I do Shiage, right, this pull isn't a lot, right? I'm not pulling them and throwing them. It's just here. But I want that hip motion in there because that is how you get the strength to be able to pull somebody who's a little bit bigger than you, is you bring everything into the same part. You need all your body working together to overcome the little muscles that they have, okay? What I mean by that is if they throw a punch and they're not using their whole body, right? They have one or two muscles helping them out. Bicep, tricep, forearms, stuff like that, right? Whereas if I have my whole body, I'm pulling with my calves, my quads, my hamstrings, my abs, my butt, my back, my arms, my everything. I'm getting my whole body engaged in that technique, right? And that's going to give me the ability to put a lot more peak force into something because I'm using my whole body. Whereas generally, if you're not trained or you don't practice, you don't have that. You're only punching with the muscles you think are engaged in, you know, that actual technique, right? If you watch, my favorite is watch cardio kickboxers. Nothing against cardio kickboxing. It's a great workout, but those guys have never hit anything, usually, unless it's actually like a combat class. Those guys don't hit anything. So when you watch the videos of them throwing their punches, it's just arms and they bounce with it, right? Or legs or whatever. But there's no like hip rotation into it. There's no, you're not getting your back, your abs into this punch. It's just putting your arms out. And that's what I'm talking about. People who aren't trained generally fight like that. And that's all I'm doing is training myself to give me the advantage over that. Also, if somebody is truly bigger and stronger than me and they are able to use more of their faculty, right? They have been trained, they do practice, they have been in fights or whatever they have experienced. This is going to at least close that power gap a little so that I'm not only using two muscles, okay? So, I mean, obviously in self-defense, sometimes they are just bigger and stronger than you, and maybe they're more experienced than you too, and you just got to hope to get lucky. So, I'm going to get these in here, rotation, boom, grab and pull, 3 of them. Same thing, I'm bringing my knees together, my hands come together here, and I'm not stopping here by any means. I'm just kind of exaggerating the motions that I'm doing when I do this quickly. Okay? So when I get to my third one of these, I'm going to look to the side. When I turn to the side, I'm going to do that same thing with my side block. My right hand comes to cover my shoulder, my left hand steps over, and then as I step with my circle step, I'm going to get my whole body pivoting into this side block here. Punch, punch, I'm going to get my hips. Now here's the key. I do my front kick. Now I'm going to fire this leg back to get kind of a push-pull. Usually our push-pulls are from left to right, but this push-pull is from top to bottom, okay, up to down. So when I do this kick, I'm going to push it down, right, so that I can get that little bit of rotation forward, right, this on this middle line axis here, right, to get that punch just a little bit more, right, and I step and I look. Now my hands go to a chamber here because this is the kata, but as soon as I step over here and I see this guy, he's close, I guard to step. Okay, side block, punch, punch, it's the same exact thing. I rotate down. I kick that leg down to get that little extra power. Same thing over here, cover, side block, that with the big rotation, punches with your hips. You're gonna get your hips engaged when you're doing these punches. Your front kick, and again, punch. Now, when we transition to these breaks, I'm going to use my hips to pull, right? My arms don't really move when I do this technique, right? All this is right here is just pivoting my hips, which turns my shoulders, right? This gives my core the chance to be the pulling muscle, right? Arguably the strongest muscle in my body, or set of muscles, I guess. Your torso, I'm pulling with that, right? Because that's going to give me the most chance of being able to bring that arm in to my wheelhouse, right? If I open a jar of peanut butter here, right, because this is where I'm strong, this is where I want to be doing that break, is in close, okay? Because basically they grabbed onto my wrist, and I'm attacking their elbow and kind of doing a scissor to break their elbow or to cause damage to their elbow, right? So I want that rotation to bring it in so I can bring it back, okay? It needs to be in here so that I actually have some measure of strength, all right? Trying to do it out here isn't gonna work, right? Take a jar of pickles and open it out here, right? A stuck jar, not just a regular jar. There's a big difference. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. When your girlfriend or whoever, wife, kids, whoever says, hey, open this, and you go like this, and you're like, oh, that wasn't hard at all. Yeah. Find one that's stuck a little bit, or go wash your hands first and try to open it out here. You'll see there's a big difference. So, we got our break here, nice and close. When I look and I draw back, we'll do this to the front. Now, I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to slide up, and I'm going to get this little pop going just a little bit, right? I'm exaggerating again. It's a little bit of a pop, and it corresponds to the same time that I'm getting my arm up here, right? That just a little bit of a pop to get my arm more of a pop. Bring it back, nose bow, draw back. Now they're pulling us. So with this one, I really want to set low into that stance here before I kick. And again, when I step over, I'm going to step and twist my hips so I can get that rotation with my my down block before my rotation of my punches, right? So I'm going to do that 3 times. Then we come out to this big one here. The same thing, as I step out, I get my hips under, that's going to pop my arm up, give my arm that little bit of momentum here. Same thing, I rotate, punch, punch, break. Now from here, guard, catch. So it's a guard first, then a catch. I'm getting that push-pull, right? So I get my back engaged. I'm getting my rotation of getting my hips under my butt, or my butt under my hips. Here, for this rotation, I stomp, and again, this stomp, I'm just falling. There's no big motion here. It's just, I've got somebody and I'm gonna fall, right? My body gets lower to the ground when I step out to the side. My feet get farther apart, my body gets lower to the ground. So if I engage my arm and just keep it steady, I'm going to pull them. Also, from here to here, my shoulders are twisting. So just like in this move here with my break, right? My shoulders are twisting to give me that power, right? A lot of kids, when I teach this kata, go like this. Bang. Okay? But it's not. It's just small. Boom. Here. Do your kick and a punch. Boom. Same thing like the sides. Draw back. Catch. And break. Now that's a lot of stuff, but it's all based around the same 3 or 4 things. Getting that rotation, that push-pull, getting your hips engaged, getting your core engaged, right? And using covers when you're turning, especially, okay? But before any side block, the reason you have to do a cover before a block is, well, what if they're faster than you, right? If I go to do a side block like this, and I get hit in the middle of my side block, right? There's nothing here. There's nothing here to stop that or mitigate that or whatever. I just took a full power punch, and I tried to block it, but, you know, the effort doesn't help me at all, right? Whereas if I come here and I go to block, right, I've got hands in the way. So if I take that punch, I'm taking it in a spot that's much better suited to take that force than my gut, my solar plex, right? My rib cage. These things all break and I need those, right? If I take a punch in the tricep, maybe it's a little harder to punch, but maybe not, right? Maybe I can take that punch or two, right? Because these muscles are easier to condition for that kind of stuff. So there are going to be little things that we do to help make our kata a lot better, okay? And now for, just to call out a couple things, I'm going to do this kata full power, and just watch out. I'll call out the parts that I want you to watch, right? So right at the beginning is the big one. Seisan. So right here. This is the one that everybody forgets about because they come from here. Again, I'm turning my hips to get that pull covered. A lot of this is just timing between your techniques. This. So the timing itself helps with that rotation. Your punch, the faster it gets, the more you have to get your elbows or your hips engaged in order to have that be faster. So when you're doing Seisan, think about some of these little tips to help make your kata significantly better. So with that, that brings us to the end of our lesson today. As always, if you're one of our YouTube subscribers, make sure that you hit the subscribe and the bell and the like icons, all to make sure that you get more access to our stuff and you get notified when we come out with something new. This week and next week looks like they'll be potentially our last week, so four classes a week. New York State is in the process of reopening. When we are allowed to reopen, we're probably going to go down to a 2 video a week, at least for the short term, just to kind of get us back up and running there. But that doesn't mean that there's not a significant number of videos that we have that you can go back and watch if you're looking for some kind of class. Remember, karate is about repetition, doing the same thing over and over to create a muscle memory to make it proper. So if you're trying to do class and you need something to do, feel free to jump back into one of the older videos. That'll give you something to help you out. Now, if you're a Shiage Do student, don't forget, we got our Zoom classes this week and next. We got our kata classes in the park on the 20th and 27th. So if you're signed up for those, make sure you get there. If you're not, there's still some time. Make sure you sign up for those. And we're doing our 30 and 30 challenge for the whole month of June. That's 30 miles in 30 days. If you can run, even if it's just around your house, we're doing a challenge to see who can run the most. So the goal is to get at least 30 miles in 30 days. You can split that up however you want. My suggestion is try to do a mile a day. That makes it easier. But if you want to do 2 miles one day and have a day off, that's up to you. But the person who does the most mileage at the end of the month, the tally, is going to get a limited edition t-shirt drawn by me. So that's going to be kind of cool. With that, that's all I've got. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Keep on getting after it. You are dismissed.